Picture this. You're on a tramp somewhere in the mountains. The sun is beaming down at you in honeyed rays, and below you can see a thin stream ending in a clear blue pool at the base of the track. The birds are chattering loudly in the trees nearby, their voices mingling sweetly. The sky is crystal clear, and the air is fresh and tastes sweet on your tongue. Then, less than a heartbeat later, the sun's golden rays would dim as the sky darkened, and your skin would start to blister and peel, every inch feeling like razors tearing into you. A sinking nausea would grip your stomach, and your head would feel infected and fuzzy, migraines pounding, then your vision would grey before slowly turning to black. Sound nice? Death? This particular scenario was the result of a sudden cut-off of oxygen. Who here knows a bit about oxygen? Well, I don't know you, but I think it's fair to assume you know it's important. And you want to know who we owe well over half of our oxygen to? You want to know who we owe, in turn, our lives to? Phytoplankton, our tiny, unknown, planty superheroes that we are literally dependent on. You know that hypothetical scenario from earlier? Well, that's the immediate effect if we lose these tiny microscopic organisms. 50 to 80% of our oxygen. Phytoplankton are literally vital. Yet, before I mentioned them, did you even know what they were? Well, let's do a crash course on why we owe these tiny life forms so much and how we're essentially trying to kill them. First off, introductions. Phytoplankton are single-cell plants that can range from 2 micrometers in diameter up to 20 centimeters. Some are tiny, as we've covered, and some of them, and you're unable to see them with your eyes, and some of them are big and can cluster, becoming large enough to see from space. They're like a limey green color caused by a pigment called chlorophyll that's created during photosynthesis. Which brings us to our topic. There are an octillion single cells of phytoplankton, a billion, even more than there are stars in the observable universe. So it's really not that surprising when we find out that they produce nearly 80% of our oxygen. They do this through photosynthesis, something over 99% of plants are capable of, where they turn sunlight into chemical energy, food, absorbing CO2 and releasing oxygen. Sounds like a dream, right? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Well, yeah, except this is where we come in. Microplastics. Sound familiar? Well, it should, because it's kind of our fault. Whatever we choose to put in the trash instead of reusing, whatever we leave on the ground instead of choosing to pick up, whenever we just choose to be lazy and ignore the whale of a mess we've made. Perhaps me telling you this is a bit cliched, but doesn't make it any less true. All those bits of plastic end up in the ocean, and then all those bind together when traveling down the Ganges and touring the globe, and then instead of decomposing, they disintegrate into nearly microscopic, gravelly pieces of plastic that just float around forever. And that miracle of nature, our vital life source, well, phytoplankton does not mix well with plastic, micro or not. Plastic can be ingested, badly disrupting the delicate photosynthetic process they go through. Also comes the fact that plastic is quite toxic even to humans, let alone our little friends. This can lead to rapid spreading of diseases that can just start to destroy them and their habitats. So yeah, we're destined to die if we continue this. And again, while this is cliched, it's really not too late. Plastic doesn't have to end up in the ocean. There are some steps you can do to do your part. First off, try avoid single-use plastics. This is easy. This means less plastic cutlery, plastic bags, plastic cups, and then if it's truly necessary, you can always find a way to reuse them or recycle them. We can still save our ocean friends, and in turn, we can still save ourselves. It just takes one.